And I'm the director of the Oral History Lab at the University of Puerto Rico at Mayagüez. And I'd like to tell you a little bit about our work in climate storytelling. Hurricane Maria made landfall in the Puerto Rican archipelago in September 2017, leaving almost total destruction in its wake. When the university reopened just 2 weeks afterwards, I began a 2-semester disaster pedagogy project that situated oral history as mutual aid. In those courses, I listened to the many stories our students shared. Alejandra, for example, wrote that her saddest experience was to see her neighbors digging graves in their backyard because relatives had passed away due to the lack of medical attention in Aguadilla, since the only hospital there had to be shut down and the electricity remained off. I began to contemplate the importance of sharing stories as a form of mutual aid. These courses resulted in a book, a zine, a children's book, and a contribution to an international traveling exhibition, my first forays into climate communication. When the Oral History Lab was formalized in 2022, we were able to bring together the Department of English, University Library, and Film Certificate program in a way that allowed us to conceptualize our projects from interview to preservation through dissemination, and we were able to add to our program by including documentary filmmaking. We've also expanded our work in digital humanities by using Omega S subsites to curate conversations on mutual aid after disaster. We are experimenting with community archiving and developing listening stations. Pictured here is Laurel Cubano Santiago, the organizer of the Colectivo Perlarte Community Art Center in La Perla, an underserved oceanfront neighborhood in San Juan that was founded as a way to keep first enslaved peoples and then servants housed outside of the wall of the now famous fort San Felipe del Morro. In her interview, Laurel told us, La Perla is coveted now. This is prime real estate. In 2012, Donald Trump came here. He wanted to buy the land to turn this into a Santorini. If no help comes here, people are hoping that it just becomes abandoned so they can buy it up. It is abandoned by design. This quote from Laurel's interview led us to develop a community storytelling and archiving project in La Perla, in which we supported members of Perlarte as they interviewed long-term residents as a means of establishing the contemporary history of the neighborhood to fight gentrification. One of the themes present in these interviews were the folk tales unique to this area, and the Perlarte artist in residence painted this mural on the side of their center using elements from all of the stories that were shared in those interviews. The mural has embedded QR codes so that visitors may link directly to the full interview recordings. At the lab, we have a commitment to producing integrated high-tech, low-tech, and no-tech public-facing outputs so as to serve multiple stakeholder audiences both in Puerto Rico and beyond. And so we made a short documentary film on the process of painting the mural that also has excerpts from the interviews. And I'll just show you a short clip from this film.
And it's worth it to give them a face, to put value to the history of the community, and that to me is going to help us establish a barrier for gentrification.
Currently, we are theorizing how to disseminate disaster narratives and climate stories through multimodal public-facing outputs. We are listening to climate stories as qualitative community-based data sets, curating narratives for STEM-focused researchers, responders, and policymakers, educating students and community members on how to tell their own stories and amplify the stories of others. And we are serving as a resource hub for other projects in Puerto Rico, the Caribbean archipelago, and the world. One of the most important things we've learned in our projects is that it's essential to remember that because of histories of colonialism and environmental racism, There can be no successful recovery from the climate crisis that is not a just recovery. And so it's crucial that climate communication is co-created with impacted frontline communities in ways that work to undermine a history of silencing so that we can all move forward together to just futures. Thank you.